Hello, my name is Kyle Wilding, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Operation Menu, terrorist acts in Cambodia, and more on the Cambodian Civil War. Operation Menu was the covert operations and systems and plans done by the U.S. in the time of the Cambodian and Vietnam War. And these were covert, like I said, operations done by the U.S., which were plans to bomb and attack Vietnam fighters while they were actually in the neutral lands of Cambodia. So the Cambodian Civil War mainly accompanied four countries. Well, three countries, but four sort of sides: North Vietnam, South Vietnam, Cambodia, and the U.S. North Vietnam was a communistic society, and South Vietnam was democratic, which was why the U.S., while they were in the Vietnam War, was also fighting with South Vietnam because they were both democratic. And Cambodia was really a weak nation by then, so they were very neutralized and was like a lot like, whoever wins, I'll be on your side. So Vietnam was being attacked heavily North Vietnam was being attacked heavily in their region, so they snuck over to Cambodia while the bombings were happening. And so the Operation Menu was the U.S.'s plan to say they were bombing more Vietnamese people in North Vietnam while actually going over the border in covert operations and bombing a lot of Vietnam bases that were actually in Cambodia, which by neutral laws would not allow them to bomb in Cambodia, but they were doing it anyway because they were trying to win the war and stop Vietnamese people from going through Cambodia, fighting on the ground and also with the air, and coming down into South Vietnam and possibly attacking the U.S. through there. So the Operation Menu was, I believe, was a terrorist organization because Operation Menu created fear in millions of the citizens, and Operation Menu was only intended to create fear in Vietnam and Cambodian citizens, and war involved people. President Nixon at the time said, "I want North Vietnam to believe I might do anything to win this war." And this was to create fear that he would do anything to stop communism in any country. And also, it was mainly just to strike fear into Cambodia and North Vietnam, because he knew that if he won the war against Vietnam, and also if he scared Cambodia into believing in democracy, he would have won the war on both fronts, because Cambodia would also be on their side and they would have won the war with Vietnam. Also, they were losing at the time, so fear was their best option. And striking fear, the main goal of fear and death as a part of control, is one of the four criteria of a terrorist act. Operation Menu was also designed as a political move to change the ideology of Cambodia and North Vietnam, because Cambodia was neutral and North Vietnam was communistic. President Nixon was trying to promote democracy and peace, per se, by fighting and attacking both countries. And Nixon was obsessed about communism and communists, and Operation Menu was designed to eliminate communism, spread democracy and peace, like I said. And so one of the other criteria for a terrorist act is the main goals are ideological rather than personal. And through these facts, that obviously states that Menu was clearly intended as a ideological move and to create power through democracy and fighting and peace for democracy. Operation Menu also killed many civilians. Over 10% of the bombing done in Cambodia over Vietnam and Cambodia was indiscriminate, which means it was killing civilians, and it was just bombing in many different places and not knowing exactly where it was hitting. And a lot of the civilians were with the war camps and with people, and also in the trees where you couldn't see, so they were just carpet bombing the entire place. And while they were in Cambodia, they were killing many citizens as well, because that was a neutral state and they were thought they could go anywhere. But in the end, they were bombed without even knowing it was coming. And killing civilians is also is the third criteria of being a terrorist, of committing a terrorist act, because I believe Operation Menu was a terrorist act because they killed many civilians in Vietnam, and Cambodia. Operation Menu also involved an audience. America used radio to contact Cambodian citizens, Vietnam, and ultimately anywhere that picked up the broadcast. They were trying to promote the fear against, as well, in that sense as well, not also through the bombings, but also through word of radio. They were saying that all the things that Nixon was saying, they were promoting that Nixon was crazy about communism. He was going to do whatever he could to stop it, and he was really promoting the fear through the radio to this audience that was Cambodia and Vietnam, to really strike fear and promote democracy through fear and control. Also, 3,630 flights of bombs were going over Cambodia and Vietnam, so they would obviously notice when the U.S. were bombing so much that they would understand that the U.S. was disregarding neutral land and killing many civilians and many other people. And they would also pick up that it was this democratic state that was killing many of their civilians. So this audience was very aware that it was the U.S. And so this is why, as you can see, the operation menu of covert operations by the U.S. during the time of the Cambodian Civil War was definitely a terrorist organization, because it clearly fulfills all 4 of the criteria of a terrorist act, and which is why it should be considered as one in history and in the many lives and hearts of those it shocked, touched, and ultimately made a huge dent in history. So thank you for watching, and I believe that the Operation Menu was a terrorist act.